Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. Pay attention to men with multiple partners. And look, I'm going to tell you what. It's one thing to listen to podcasts and videos like I present or anybody else who purportedly is talking about relationships, whether it's talking about the men who are getting whether it's talking about the men who getting women, when they're on that player game thing, or men who are talking about how bad women are and all of this stuff, right? And that's cool. That's cool. You can get a perspective. And what have I always said about even what I talk about? I said, when you hear what I talk about, go out in the streets and see if it works for you. Seriously. And I'm not offended if you say, well, Rom, I did everything you said, but it didn't really work for me. I ain't see it that way. I'll be like, okay. I would literally be like, okay. Because ultimately, everything has to come down to what you experience, what your thing is. Because ultimately, no matter how objective I try to be or anybody else, it's still coming from their perspective, right? So I want everybody to find their own. Now, one thing I would say is pay attention when you out and about, because anybody could say anything. Anybody could say anything, right? But I'd say when you out and about, pay attention to, or out about, or maybe if you on IG or something, or any type of social media, pay attention to men who show themselves with multiple partners. And they are out there. When I say multiple partners, okay, they might be in polygamous relationships or polyamorous relationships or polytriad relationships where they got two partners. Especially on IG, there's a few people I follow, and then just because of the circles I'm in, I know men who have multiple partners and they show it, right? The key is to ask yourself one simple question. In a day and age where you have men who can't even get one woman, what is it that these men are doing that's getting them multiple women? Think about it. Not ones who telling you, like, they got the pictures up and everything. Like, there's one dude I follow. I've known him a while. I ain't going to call his name here. But he got a whole IG thing about his wives. And don't ask me who it is. Seriously, don't ask me who it is. All you have to do is if you go to IG or something, just look up polygamous. Just do, hashtag polygamous or polyamorous something, couples. You'll run into them. You'll see it, okay? But, and I was looking at, I'll be looking at them and everything, and, it's not what a lot of people think of as game. Because, okay, like people, when I say game or whatever it takes to get women, like you got a whole ton of men on here who's saying, well, you got to be a certain height, build. Some people even say a certain race. Got to have a certain jawline and everything. You got to have this money and status. But some of these cats I've checked out, not just online, but in the real world, it's rare that they've even have like outstanding amount of money. At best, most of them have modest incomes. And then if you look at them on a physical perspective, they don't look like they hit the gym like crazy. So that throws out body game. I'm just going to be real with you. That throws out body game. They might or might not be tall. It's hard to tell from pictures sometimes. Though I did know one gentleman, he was of a short stature and quite frankly overweight. Yet had a bunch of young girls lined up for him. Young girls. I know that personally, right? But you'll look at them and these look like ordinary guys. They don't stand out physically. And, they don't look like they ain't showing anything to seem like they got money or status. Indeed, in this culture, if you got a certain status, you might even pretend like the man will pretend like he's monogamous. Because most of this culture is still about monogamy. But these guys yet will have that. You want to pay attention to that. What are they doing? Depending on where you might be, you might run into a polytriad. which is a lot more common. Like, contrary to popular belief, women will share, man. They will share, man, and he might or might not look like that fashion model type. Indeed, let me say something real quick about that, because a lot of guys get caught up into that. How often do y'all see a fashion model type with a woman? That's one thing. I could halfway do a video on that, because I'm like, everybody's like, oh, well, Chad and Tyrone. Well, especially Chad. I'm like, it's actually rare. I see, like, even on social media, Chad who ain't a millionaire or a celebrity with a woman. I'm just saying. When I see the guys who are with multiple partners, they go against a lot of stuff. I mean, the closest they'll come is maybe body game. The closest. You might have a few here and there, but a lot of times they are average looking. And you're looking at the women, I'm like, well, hold up. The women don't be like ugly or anything. I say the women always at the very least got good bodies. When I be seeing some of this stuff, I be like, well, hold up, that woman fine. And I know of cases where, you get some men, they actually got concubines. Shoot, I've known of some women who say they wanted to be that. They say they were a side piece or something. And you looking at them like, wait a minute. All right? So what is it about the men? See, here's the key. Here's the key thing. What is it? Try to find out or try to get an idea. What is it about the man? Because then it tells you it's obvious. It's obvious. It's like, well, hold up. This man got 3 women who are happy being with the guy, or at least 2 women. But nothing about the guy suggests he has money, or not to that extent. Nothing about him. You don't know who he is, so he might not have that status. All right? And I know a lot of guys, let's be real, a lot of guys be saying, well, wait a minute, he got a round face or something. He don't got that like model jawline or something, right? Pay attention. And see, when you pay attention to that, then, see, here's the whole key to it. If you actually take that into your consciousness, that maybe some of these other things that you think you should have, these guys are winning despite not having those things. All of a sudden, you expand your mind. You don't limit yourself. See, a lot of guys are very limited. That's a problem. They are limited into what they think they can do. Even with the body game, a lot of guys think, when I talk about body games, think they got to be super muscular and super tight cut and all of that. No, when I talk about body game, it's merely about getting in your best shape and then finding what you can use. I'll use myself for an example. I'm a big guy, right? I'm a big guy. I look like a linebacker, right? Built like a linebacker, same height as like many linebackers, or a fullback or something like that. All right, that what works for me. I don't need to be all cut or tiny or anything like that, right? That's body game. So just to expand that, it's a lot more expansive what a man needs to get. And I say at the basic level, the main thing he needs to get is confidence within himself. He needs to develop himself and then see which women are attracted to that, right? And one of the main things is he's giving them something. If women going to share a man knowingly, he's giving them something. And it's not always money, because I've known of men who had multiple partners. They didn't work. The women were going out working. I mean, the guys were like low-key pimps, right? In fact, there's a lot of people who talk about pimps. I know people got this idea, this spectacular idea, but think about pimps. They got some average looking dudes when you see them. And a lot of them don't have like that fly dress or anything like that. Most of them dress, the average pimp dresses low key. Yet they got multiple women doing stuff for them. Think about it. Pay attention to them. See what they're doing. Pay attention to how they're carrying themselves. All that stuff. Very important. Because you can learn a whole lot. It's one thing to hear, and I'm going to reiterate, even with everything I'm saying, go out and check it out for yourself. Go out and check it out. All right? So anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll get back with y'all later. Peace and blessings.